I'm Tim Ventura, and we're joined today by Paolo Guizzardi, the Italian representative of the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research and a key participant in Project Titan, a remarkable initiative to table the UAP issue at the United Nations. Paolo has a background in electronics engineering and currently works in the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs as an ICT manager. He speaks Italian, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and German, and has participated as a speaker and translator in several international UFO congresses. He's been a part of Italy's National UFO Center since 2008, where he's responsible for managing international contacts and has been translating foreign UAP related documents into Italian for the last 15 years. So, Paulo, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is a true pleasure to have you with me. Today, we're talking about Project Titan, which is an initiative to table the UAP issue at the United Nations. Let me start out by asking about your background and what got you into the UAP issue.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Tim, for having me here. It's really a pleasure and an honor. So let's. One thing which I would like to point out is that now I am officially retired as of February the 1st.
Oh,
So now
okay.
I can devote myself fully to the UAP issue. So concerning my interest in UAPs, on the UAP phenomenon, I prefer to say, well, it's something, I mean, I always had, since when I can remember, the impression that in this universe, there's a lot more than what it seems, what appears. So, of course, given this background, also the matter of are we alone or not, it's a very important one for me. It has always been very important for me, even though just in, I mean, now I'm 67 years old, and well, I can say that I'm following the matter closely uh, from the, let's say, 20, 25 years, more or less. In
Hmm.
any case, I can say to answer properly to your question, team, I have always had an interest for just to, mm, grasp the surface to see what lies below. And I am interested, I have a big interest in other, let's call them mysterious subjects, ESP, paranormal, you name it. I mean, everything that is more or less mysterious attracts me a lot. Shamanism
Hmm.
also. But I mean, UAP is the most important of all my interests. So
Yeah.
just to answer quickly, it has always been like this for me since my childhood. But just in these last 20, 25 years, I really devoted myself properly and fully to the subject of UAPs.
Yeah. Well, and this seems like it's the perfect time. I mean, there is so much happening in this area. There's so much change, I guess, in the way that the government is looking at this, the way that governments in general are looking at this, as well as public perception. So you're the Italian representative for ICER, which is the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research, which is a group of over 24 scientists from around the world working together to research and take political action on the UAP topic. Can you tell me a little bit about the organization?
Well, concerning ICER, well, I am also one of the founding members
Yeah.
of
Okay.
ICER, and of course I'm the national representative for Italy of ICER now, and we are about around 30 national representatives
Okay.
from around the world. So this is an unprecedented coalition of researchers, UFO researchers. So I mean, UAP lists scientists, researchers, private researchers, and so on. It was founded after maybe this is not so well known. Uh, ICER was founded on the long wave, so to speak, of a Chinese initiative,
Mm,
because it initially was a Chinese initiative which started in, I mean, before COVID, so it was around 2019, if I remember well. I did not, myself, I did not take part into this very early Chinese initiative. Roberto Pinotti did along with others. So the idea was, in any case, to bring the subject of UFO research to the UN through the UNESCO organization of the UN. So this was the original idea. So this idea was, I can say, gave origin to two big conferences, one in China and the other one in Moscow. Then there was then came the commercial war with China and US,
yeah, yeah,
and later on COVID. But when COVID came, I mean the Chinese initiative just had faded out by itself for unknown reasons. But what happened? I mean, the group of researchers, of prominent researchers that was summed up according to this initiative, then the participant said, "Wow, we have created an unprecedented group. So let us not. I mean, the Chinese as have dropped this initiative, okay, but let's not disperse this." This capital of how can I say of knowledge on international knowledge on the UAP issue. So the idea was taken to go on alone and create this organization, which then was called ICER, International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research, and and uh, and ICER, you know what, Tim? ICER is adopt, I would say, a proactive stance on the UFO subject, because the basic discourse is okay. We know very well that the UAP phenomenon, UFO UAP phenomenon, as you like it, exhibits intelligence, typically intelligence, and and other characteristics which are typical of beings as we mean ourselves, human beings, biological beings, or sort of. So let us consider this and consider that this is something which could be hugely, not extremely, hugely important for the whole mankind. So let's act, let's start sensibilizing people, of course, on this. Of course, ICER doesn't have the Harry Potter wand to say, yes, we know the truth. We know what the truth is. No, no, because ICER advocates research,
yeah.
scientific research on the subject because it is mostly unknown, even though, of course, as I said before, it manifests evident intelligence in its behavior. So, basically, ICER I like to say that ICER want to act proactively on the UFO phenomenon, on the UFO UAP phenomenon. You see?
Well, I think that it's such a brilliant and powerful and absolutely timely initiative. And the reason I mention that, and I'll put links in the show notes, but when I go to the ICER website, it shows many of the scientists on the homepage, and it shows the flags next to them, right? And it is truly an international coalition from so many different nations. And the thing that's exciting about that is, from what I've read, the United States seems like it is working towards kind of a new era of openness or transparency, you might call it. France, I know, has done wonderful rigorous research for years. There's research going on in Italy. Many of the allied nations have or have had research into this phenomenon in the past, but really none of that has come together. It seems like it's all been siloed. And so to have an organization that finally brings that together, that in itself is tremendous. But then the next part of this is why you guys are making headlines. And that is ICER is the organization behind Project Titan, which is an initiative to take UAP to the United Nations. And that is actually moving forward and making progress. So you are a key figure in this. I'm wondering, can you tell me a little bit about Project Titan and where that is going?
For sure, Tim. Well, I am the creator of the project, and I manage it on behalf of ICER and CUN, the Centro Ufologico Nazionale. So, I mean, I want always, I like very much to be very clear. It's not my business. I have created it, but I manage it for on behalf of ICER and the CUN, C-U-N, Centro Ufologico Nazionale. Of both, I am a member of both, by the way, because I'm a member of the Centro Ufologico Nazionale since 2008, and member of ICER since the beginning. So, first of all, Project Titan, its name comes from the mountain upon which San Marino City lies, because it's a 700 meters, 2,000 to 2,200 feet more or less mountain, and the historical center of San Marino City lies upon this this mountain called Titan or Titano in Italian. So the basic idea of Project Titan is to revive the original spirit of the 1978 Grenada Initiative led by Sir Eric Gairy, the First Minister of Grenada. Because, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's a good idea to make to go a bit backwards, just to say that the Grenada Initiative originally, I mean, of course, up to now is the only initiative of this kind that of bringing the UN attention on UFOs. This is for the moment, it's the only one. Now with the Project Titan, this is going to be the second. But Project Titan wants to take up the baton, so to speak, where Grenada left it, was forced to leave it. Because we know that Grenada started with proposing the creation of a UN structure fully devoted to the scientific study of UFOs. And in the end, the resolution which came out in the end was totally the opposite, because Grenada said, okay, guys, let's create a UN scientific structure for the study of UFOs, and the decision, UN decision, which resulted from this, said, okay, gentlemen, everyone who is interested can go alone and organize his studies. So, I mean, it was totally overturned. So the idea of Project Titan is to revive the true spirit of Sir Gairy. And this, I have to say, was the intention of Roberto Pinotti. Roberto Pinotti is the most prominent Italian ufologist. Sorry. Now he is the president of both ICER and CUN.
Okay.
And he wanted to do something to revive the original spirit of the Grenada Initiative. And he knew, for his own personal reasons, the small state of San Marino very well. and he tried different times in the around the 90s to approach members of the government and propose them, listen, why San Marino could not do a pro-UFO action at the UN, blah, blah, blah. But the times were not ripe. Absolutely,
Yeah.
we're not ripe.
What?
Nowadays, it's a different matter. I know what you wanted to say. I believe I know what you wanted to say, Tim. Nowadays, it's indeed a different matter. And I think that there can be possibilities of success. So in any case, to make it short, I was well aware. I mean, I know Roberto Pinotti since 2007, more or less. So I was very well aware of his desire to do something to to bring the attention of the UN on UFOs through San Marino. Of course, I also shared the same intention because I am very well, how can I say, it's my firm conviction that the UAP subject must be treated by the UN, which is the highest how can I say, assembly of the humanity. So,
Yeah.
so when I started, when I understood that the disclosure process, which started with a historic article of the New York Times in mid-December 2017, when I was sure that it was not something, I mean, when I was sure that it was something really concrete, serious, then I said, wow, I think that the time has come to try to do something, to try to fulfill the desire, the wish of Roberto, which I also shared. So I started running up my sleeves and see what was possible to do. So I mean, it was a long process. It took me actually 3 years. Stop and go, changement, reflections. So you know, when you have to create something new, it's not easy. Then COVID came and further complicated the whole issue. So, in any case, to make it short, in September, early September 2021, now let me remember, it was 21, after the 30th symposia, which the Centro Ufologico Nazionale organized in San Marino. It was the 30th, so it was a highly symbolic date. We met with, a delegation of ICER and Kuhn, met with the San Marino Minister of Culture and Public Instruction to present, to submit and present and submit the project, asking for San Marino participation. Then there was mid-December, Roberto Pinotti met the heads of state, introducing the project and explaining to them the project. Then, okay, there was some interest. I mean, in both these meetings, there was some interest, but months passed and no news at all came from San Marino. So after 6 months have passed, so I said to myself, I think it's a good idea to try to start a different procedure, a different way to propose the participation in the project to San Marino authorities. So again, I rolled up again my sleeves, trying to see what to find. So I really had no idea, but slowly, patiently, I did some research on the San Marino legal system, and I found this Istanza d'Arengo, which is basically a popular petition. It's a very old institute, centuries ago, of direct democracy, basically. It's a popular petition which can be submitted by San Marino citizens. So once we checked that, and we were sure that the project was, once we presented, we illustrated it to the San Marino population, once we were sure that the interest by their part was good, and there were a certain amount of San Marino citizens available to sign this petition, then I prepared this petition. I tried put up. In the end, they came out 50 pages of petition.
Oh,
So you
wow.
can imagine
Okay.
it was, but I mean, it was really a complete package for San Marino. So this petition was submitted on the 2nd of October, if I remember well, and it was cleared by the heads of state for examination by and debate by the Parliament of San Marino. Then in January, it was the Istanza d'Arengo was sorry. There is one thing I need to specify. The Istanza d'Arengo was a petition which basically asked the San Marino Parliament that they clear the participation of San Marino to Project Titan. So this petition was debated in, it was the 19th, if I remember well, of January. Now I'm still unsettled here, Tim, so I don't have all the references, unfortunately. I'm going by memory. In any case, it was debated and was the vote was largely positive. It was 25 yes, 2 no, and 2 abstentions. So it was a huge majority. So what happened now? Once that the parliament has voted in favor of the participation of San Marino in Project Titan, then it will issue a decree which will bind the government to enact what is requested in this petition. That is that San Marino participate into Project Titan. And then, of course, the project calls for the creation of a small office. I mean, it must not be anything big. This is important because, you know, nowadays the UN finances are not so good. So it was important. This was an important issue. So we had this. The project calls for the creation of a small office within the UN, likely, possibly within a pre-existing structure of a small office devoted, tasked, sorry, with the preparation of a UN of a world conference under the UN aegis on the development of UAP studies. And this is meant as a sort of a hub to promote international cooperation, because I mean, we, as you mentioned before, Tim, we know now that a good number of states have already done a good amount of research, mainly on the military side, mainly. But everyone has gone alone, has gone along alone. So I mean, and now ICER and myself and ICER and Kun, we are deeply convinced that we must do something at the international level. We must go beyond the stage of national research, because national research has shown that I mean, practically gives no results apparently.
Yeah.
So if we want to have, and also that there is another point which is important. I mean, the study of the UAP phenomenon must be done by civil structures, by university research centers, but civil structure, because this must not, I mean, if the military wants to, I mean, the military should, in my view, research the phenomenon, but to make sure that there are no threats, only for this, because to stay, to how can I say, to monitor, to monitor this phenomenon for threats is their own business, basic business. So, but the study of the UAP phenomenon must happen internationally and must be led by civil structures.
Okay.
So this is the base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Paulo,
sorry. No, sorry. Just to end the whole story. Otherwise, I risk to forget something. No, and what happens if, well, San Marino will propose this initiative to the UN, presenting a draft resolution text, which has been already, I have already prepared this with the with the precious assistance of a diplomat. San Marino will present this initiative. The initiative will be discussed, will be assigned for discussion to a specific committee. In 1978, the Grenada Initiative proposal was discussed by the Special Political Committee. I think this now is going to be totally different, but in any case, there's going to be a committee chosen generally by the UN Secretary General Office, which will examine this proposal and will, in the end, hopefully, recommend it to the General Assembly for the vote. So,
okay.
Then, if the committee hopefully recommends this proposal for vote, then it will be submitted to a vote in the General Assembly, and we will see what happens. Hopefully, they will vote in favor, and if this happens, then the UN will create this small office, which will prepare this UN, this World UAP Studies Conference under the UN aegis, which will be held in San Marino by care of San Marino. So we're going to have this office, UN office, which will prepare the conference, and San Marino, on the other hand, will hold it according to the new office, how can I say, preparation.
Yeah. So Paulo, let me jump in. Let me apologize for interrupting earlier. I want to give the audience some backstory on this. So UAP are being tabled at the UN through San Marino. This is a European microstate in Southern Europe. It's enclaved by Italy. So it's actually landlocked. It's surrounded on all sides. It's only 23.5 square miles of land. Population is only 33,000 people. So this is a very small nation, but it is an independent nation. And this is the country that is bringing this to the UN. And it sounds like what you're describing is basically asking the UN to kind of create a clearinghouse for UAP data, right? And so that, to my mind, that sounds like a wonderful idea in terms of taking, again, I believe it's Gaipan in France. They have done amazing research, right? Congress and the Department of Defense here in the United States are doing research. There, as you mentioned, there are universities that are starting to get interested in this. There are a lot of different organizations, but I believe Congress and the Department of Defense have said this. This is an issue that goes beyond national borders, right? And so it's probably best for us to address this as a single species, and having a single clearinghouse for that is probably the best way to do it. And it works within existing structures of government and policy. So let me ask when this is scheduled to be discussed at the UN, and how long do you think it may take before some kind of action is taken?
Well, Tim, this is rather easy to to answer. So the proposal will be submitted to the UN Secretary General Office more or less at the beginning, or just a few days before the beginning of the UN General Assembly, which starts at mid-September 2023. Okay. So then it will be, as I've said before, assigned for discussion to a given committee, which will take more or less 1 month, I suppose, 1 month, 1 month and a half. So very likely October, mid-October, or likely November, this committee will start examining the proposal. Of course, it could very well be that some or several sessions would be requested to do this job. I mean, in the case of Grenada, the committee met 3 times to discuss this issue. So I expect more or less the same this time. So they will start, as I said before, around November, beginning of November. And this could take, well, it depends because it depends on how many items they have to examine, because very likely there will not be only this San Marino proposal to discuss upon. So, but I suppose that very likely in around mid-December, I think that, yes, around mid-December, they could have finished their examination and recommend it for vote at the United Nations General Assembly. And this could happen very well within December or maybe January next year.
Okay.
This is going to be a very rough calendar.
Yeah. So we're talking about fall of 2023 and then maybe a final vote next year. Now, Paolo, you'd mentioned like having the Department of Defense and having other military organizations monitor this for potential threats. One of the things that I wanted to ask about, and let me change topics for a bit, was this story about an Italian Navy ship that fired on and struck a UAP with a depleted uranium projectile. And reportedly, the UAP responded with a beam of energy that crumpled the front of the ship. Have you heard about that at all? Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, I can say something, Tim. Well, no, I have to say this was a little bit different. This, well, this information you gave of um, military forces using depleted uranium ammunitions and so on was given by an Italian gentleman who was very how can I say, took part into the investigation of a series of mysterious events which happened in Sicily, in a very small location on the northeast part, northeast shore of Sicily on the Tyrrhenian Sea. What happens? I mean, well, to explain it properly, it would take a lot of time. But in any case, what happened? All of a sudden, in this very remote and very small place, village, all of a sudden, mysterious fires started to develop with no apparent reason at all. I mean, things started to took fire spontaneously, and there was no way to understand what caused this effect or what. I mean, it was not possible to find any correlation, any. So it was really something that went on for a long time, and also prompted the authorities to evacuate the area for some weeks. So the citizens have to leave the area. So what happened? The Italian government sent a squad to research a squad to do research. I mean, they were. I mean, well, with a good amount of resources, instruments, and so on. Unfortunately, there was no public official report on this investigation. And now that I'm retired, I would like to do something in this sense to bring out this final report. In any case, there were voices of very strange things, not only fires which erupted all of a sudden, and there was this gentleman who is official of the Italian Navy, who is very, I mean, is a scientist, and he did investigation. But the problem is that this gentleman can speak only up to a certain point, a bit like what happened with Luis Elizondo.
Yeah.
He knows, if for sure, knows a lot, huge lot of things, but cannot say that much. So this gentleman in a meeting said that, okay, in a meeting with Elizondo that we had in Rome, he said, yes, okay, we had this, and we found that it was these strange episodes were created by directed beams. So apparently it was the use of direct energy weapons that was used. And he said that yes, it was not easy because it was a huge amount of power of microwave radiation spread also not only on a specific frequency, but spread also in frequency, but a huge amount, I mean, of power, emitted power. But the duration of the pulses was extremely, extremely short. So it was not at all easy to identify and to triangulate to find the origin of this. And they found, you know what, Tim, they found that these radiations apparently came from a place more or less located 60 kilometers north of the interested village.
Mm.
But 60 kilometers north, there is just sea. There is no land at all. There's only the Tyrrhenian Sea. So this gentleman said that they managed to understand that it was a sort of direct energy weapon, but he said that when they use this weapon, they have to switch off the camouflage, so they could hit with the depleted uranium ammunition, which, to my knowledge, is the hardest material which is used for military ammunitions. So this is what happened. There was another episode which was very interesting, and it happened during the time of these strange events. There was a helicopter of the Italian Protezione Civile, which is a civil body devoted to, how can I say, homeland, not homeland security as in the US, but sort of. And it was on a routine flight, and all of a sudden, boom, the it was hit by something which made the craft bounce heavily, and it was clear that something had happened. The pilot managed with some difficulty to bring the helicopter down, but I mean when he went to check to inspect the craft and see if there were signs which could explain what have happened. He found a rather big hole in the trailing edge of the
Mm.
rotor. You know, the rotor has a leading edge and a trailing edge, the backward parts.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, when what happened when lightning strikes a tree, living tree.
Yeah.
It explodes from within because the water within in the trunk is vaporized, so it explodes from within. And what had happened to that rotor blade was something similar. It looked like if uh, it was hit by a sort of like a tree hit by a lightning,
So
basically.
another
And
energy beam, it sounds like.
yes, sort of, sort of. And what is interesting is that there was on the ground there was a gentleman who was just uh, I don't know what he was doing exactly, but in any case, he had a camera with him. He noted this helicopter behaving in a way that was not normal. I mean, flying. He understood that it might have been problems, and took some pictures. And what is interesting is that you see in the picture, you see the helicopter here, basically, and small point in the back. The helicopter was going like this, and here in the back, there was this small point, white point, which it's not possible to see what it was. Likely, it was not a seagull, because I mean, it was a shape, a point. I mean, a big point. So, yes, it looks like it was sort of a directed energy beam weapon that
Interesting.
happened. Yes, indeed. So, I mean, and this is not the only strange thing that happened on those days, but I mean, also there were reports of strange objects hovering over the sea, or just plunging into the sea, and so on. So, I mean, the problem is that there were accurate studies, but the results were never made public. This is the problem. And this is one of the, as I told you, one of the things that I want to dig on, to see if it's possible to bring this final report to the public opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so valuable to be able to get this data and get it out so that, again, not just so that militaries can work together to understand what might be going on, but so that university researchers and the general public, and of course, lawmakers, right? I mean, right now, lawmakers
Exactly.
are hearing briefings, and the briefings they're hearing are most likely just tiny little pieces based on national data, right? And so it's interesting. You'd mentioned UAP going into the sea. That's something that was reported in the Nimitz case, right? So, we have these correlations of data from different areas, from, different reports, people who aren't aware or weren't aware of each other's stories. So it's very interesting to see that. Well, Paula, let me ask, what comes next, I guess. What do you expect to see in the near future?
Good question, Tim. Well, first of all, concerning Project Titan, I really hope that this can have success in the end, and that this new office is created, and these world conferences on UN studies under the UN aegis are held, because this is in, let me cite from the official, what is it? Let me cite from the official uh, text that has been submitted to San Marino, the text of the draft resolution, that is the proposal that San Marino will submit to the UN. The title is Measures for the Establishment of an International Cooperative Effort on the Study and Research of the UAP Phenomenon. So this is the title. So this is exactly what I really hope that will happen. I mean, to have this conference, which could become the hub of a truly international civil research effort, cooperative research effort on the UAP study, which, by the way, and this is my own personal wish, I really hope that, okay, UAP research is hugely important for the whole mankind, but also I really wish that this initiative could also do something to go against the tendency to confrontation that
Yes.
today is prevailing, unfortunately,
Well,
between states.
if I could, and you know, not only that, and let me apologize for jumping in, but you know, one of my hopes would be that it would coordinate the way that UAP are responded to also, right?
Mhm.
Different militaries have different policies. That the issue is, I mean, that I think sends a mixed message, right? Not only between nations, but you know, if there's intelligence behind UAP, it sends a mixed message to them. So being able to coordinate that through the United Nations, maybe there's a way for the world's military and defense organizations to be able to respond more consistently across the board.
Indeed, indeed, Tim. It's a matter of basically it's a matter of taking UAP seriously.
Yeah.
That's it. UAP is a damn seriously subject, if I can use this adjective. So, and it must be dealt with by the UN, by the highest mankind council, and of course it must be taken into consideration also by the military, because we may never know what happened. I mean, I think that we cannot expect negatives from any other ET species in case they exist. I think so. But in any case, because very likely, if for a very simple reason, Tim, if they managed to um, develop themselves on the scientific and technological level, and they managed to survive their technological teenager age, so teenage. Sorry, my English is a bit not proper. I mean, in case they manage to survive, not to destruct themselves, so surviving the teenage era of their evolution, then it's because they have a high level of the ethical moral development. So uh, it's just, I mean, a natural law. I mean, it's we as human civilization, Homo sapiens species of planet Earth, we are risking literally our own destruction, because we are still I mean, the technological evolution is rather high, but we continue to be divided into factions, into competing states, uh, competing. So the problem is that the political leaders and military leaders have in their hands more and more powerful means, weapons of
Yes.
mass destruction. So what happens? We are really risking the extinction by our own hands. So this is, in any case, what I wanted to tell is that I expect ETs, if they really exist, and I'm pretty much convinced they do, and that they are monitoring us. I mean, pretty much convinced that they cannot be outward negatives towards us. They could be indifferent, but you know, you know what, Tim? I don't hate ants, but if one day walking on the street I kill 100 ants because I just cross, I just step on their house. I mean, I don't care that much. So this could be also a possibility. I mean. Uh, there could exist also downright negative species which could have a totally negative uh, stand on us, in the sense that they could they could want to destroy us, to enslave us, or to eat us, whatever. But I mean, this is statistically possible, but I'm sure it is really, really, I mean, the percentage, the number of the percentage is really, really small.
And from what I've seen, from reading through media reports and various interviews, it does seem like it leans more towards indifference, curiosity mixed with indifference. So
Slash monitoring.
monitoring, yes,
Because the
that's a good
monitoring
word.
activity is something which goes on since 1945, the first atomic detonations,
Yeah.
if you consider.
Well, Paulo, on that note, let me thank you so much for your time today. And let me close by asking, how can people get involved with ICER and how can they help support Project Titan? And again, I will put links in the YouTube show notes for this as well.
Well, you know what, Tim, to support Project Titan, well, now I cannot say for sure, but if there is in the sense, I cannot say for sure in the sense that I have not still thought of a specific framework for public help or public support, so to speak. This is something that I want to do because I think this is important. But for the moment, but I can tell one thing. If there is someone who is in contact with or has relations or works in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of his own country, who could, how can I say, diffuse the news of Project Titan and of its scopes. And well, the ideal would be that could assure a positive vote in the UN environment. That is, when the time will come for the examination by the committee and the final vote at the UN General Assembly. So if there is someone who has this possibility, please do this. Please explain to your bosses or the purpose of this project, and if possible, I mean, do something in order to have your country adopt a positive stance at the United Nations level towards this Project Titan. This is something. Then I was thinking of preparing a sort of public public petition through the internet, which I have already done something similar before the Istanza d'Arengo petition was submitted in order to sensibilize the San Marino authorities, which apparently, I mean, it worked because we got 500 messages from 45 countries of the world.
Wow.
So it was, I mean, it was a totally online action managed by me myself privately. So, I mean, there was no mainstream media. So it's a good. So I'm thinking of, I mean, I'm actually thinking of preparing something like this. But I mean, the most important thing now is that if there is someone who is in close relation or works at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of his own country, then please try to do something in favor of the acceptance of the project at the UN level.
Wonderful. Paulo, thank you again so much for your time today, sir.
Thank you, Tim. It was a pleasure and an honor.